Hey everybody, we are live on YouTube this morning. So I hope you're here watching us. I just want to start out saying that we want to thank Terry by Sensi for sponsoring this podcast. Her website is up there on this on the banner there, so you can go see it, and I'll have it in the description. Matter of fact, it's already in the description for the YouTube. So go there, check out what she's got. Christmas is coming up, and there's a lot of good ideas. I moved my 49ers warmer to the background, see if I can move out of the way so you can see it in the back. So the 49ers warmer I bought. Okay. And so I guess other than that, let's get started. Jason's going to be joining us here in just a minute. Having AirPod issues with his kids going to school this morning, so I'm sure he'll say something about that. And good morning to you too, Terry. I hope my commercial was okay for you. Paul will do the next one this morning. Okay. Well, we're here to do the Iowa State game preview show, and I got a special guest, Pat Kenny. I've known Pat for about 51 years now, from our freshman year in high school, and so we're kind of giving away our ages there, Pat. Um, I'll try to get this right. I know Pat is a former Waterloo Courier, has done some sports among other things for the Courier, for the Cedar Falls Record too, I believe, right?
Yeah, the Ames Tribune.
And the Ames Tribune, and he's an Iowa State alumnus, and so he's going to try to give his perspective from a fan's point of view, not a media point of view, on some of the things we can expect to see Saturday Saturday with Iowa State, because I wasn't able to watch Iowa State because they were on ESPN Plus, and I don't pay for that. So let's just start. Oh, and I got I always said Jason's coming. We got Paul down there in the bottom right tonight, or I'm stumbling all over my words, and I got to have where's this mute button, and you're going to need it here in a minute. Okay. The guys talk me into muting when I'm not talking. So, Pat, let's just get started. Who are some of the guys on Iowa State team that Iowa should be concerned with and should key on Saturday?
Well, I was at the game. I was at the game Saturday at the Southeast Missouri game, and my son texted me about the Iowa score, and I was absolutely shocked. He made some baseball joke, and I thought he was kidding, but and he said 5-3, and yeah, it's really scoreless, right? And he goes, no, it's really 5-3, and it's like, what? Um, well, I think you got Xavier Hutchinson's probably going to be the best skill position player on the field either team tomorrow. I think he had a lights out game, and admittedly, Southeast. I think Iowa had a better opponent Saturday than Iowa State did. I mean, I've seen enough UNI football to know South Dakota State is always in the running for the Valley title and for a playoff spot. So they were. You guys saw how they played. I mean, that's it's apparent. Um, I read the Register stories Sunday, and Randy Peterson said Iowa may have the best defense Iowa State is going to see all year. And if you guys know how Big 12 football goes, those scores are like old Big East basketball games. You got 54-46 and stuff like that. So I think he's probably right, and that's probably good for Iowa State, because that would mean it's a good tune-up for them, toughen them up a little bit for down the road, and maybe it'll help the Hawkeyes too. Hutchinson's great. I mean, he's the real deal. He's elusive. I mean, they can get him anywhere on the field. All you got to do is get the guy the ball. I think in an early year he would have been probably a running back, but he's a tall guy. Hunter Deckers, the Iowa State quarterback, he throws a really nice, accurate, catchable ball. I was watching him. He throws sidearm. He'll get the ball to you any way he can. I said to my buddy, I said, well, we got Hunter the Snake Deckers here. And I thought I was just saying that because he was a lefty, but then I heard Coach Ferentz say it himself a couple of days ago at a press conference. He said, yeah, he's got that Snake Stabler thing going on. but he takes chances too. So there's an opportunity there. There was the interception he threw. He had a guy open right over the middle for an easy first down, but he took a chance and threw it down the sideline and got a pick. So he's a little bit of a gunslinger. That might be an opportunity for the Hawks. Um, Iowa State's defense last week, I compare it to a peach. It's tough as a pit in the middle and really soft around the edges. Southeast Missouri's had a very mobile quarterback, Paxton De Laurent, and he was all over the field. I don't think Iowa State got a single sack. They just couldn't catch up to him, and he was the leading rusher too for Southeast Missouri. He got like 74 yards rushing. So I know that Iowa's offense is usually pretty traditional and drop back and all that stuff, but if they can redraw and get a little mobile, there might be an opportunity there, especially and if the receiving core at all that you guys have can get a little healthy, there might be an opportunity there. If the passing game can get straightened out and everything else, and I heard all the stuff about that, but it seemed like Ferentz kept a pretty cool head about it, and he's sticking with your guy. But um, Jarrell Brock got 100 yards rushing, but he got most of them in the second half. It took him a little while to get on track. They started running outside the tackles, running a lot of plays like that, and they seemed to have some success. But there's this kid, a freshman, Cartavius Norton, number 5. This kid is fast and he's slippery. He only had 3 touches and gained 21 yards, but he had a draw play up the middle that was one defender away from breaking it. He's somebody to watch if Brock doesn't make it. The other thing is I'm just thinking about intangibles. We're supposed to have a 20-degree drop in temperature between today and tomorrow. I wish we had today's weather for tomorrow's game. And it's supposed to start raining in the second half. If that happens, and it
Pat,
gets,
can I
yeah,
interrupt you for just a second?
yeah,
I'm getting a comment that they'd like you to speak louder or get on a microphone or something because they can barely hear you. I hear you fine in my headset. I don't know how Paul's hearing you. Paul, you
I
hear
hear
me
you.
fine?
Right. Yeah, it sounds good on my end.
let me
But
get my
Okay, you sound
volume.
good on my end too.
Let me get my volume up a little bit. See if I can do that.
Okay.
If it rains in the second half, that could be, and the ball gets wet, that could be feeding time for the Hawkeye defense. Because I know the last 2 games we lost on a muff punt, and like last year, we just practically just handed the ball to you guys, like, I don't know how many times, and then things kind of settled down a little bit, but, just got ball security is going to be a big deal, especially if it starts raining. Probably both sides, but Iowa's defense is pretty opportunistic, and I know that, the other thing is, the crowd, I mean, it's going to be, the Cyclones have been practicing with simulated crowd noise and stuff. They've said in their press conferences, but and that could be intimidating, be a two-edged sword. I understand that the Hawkeye faithful expressed their displeasure with the passing game last week, and if they turn on their own guys, it could be a two-edged sword a little bit. Being that it's Iowa State, I bet they won't do that, but I've been to Kinnick before, and I know how quickly they can turn sometimes.
Right.
I just want to jump in on there real quick on that because to me it's not that they turned on Spencer quick. I mean, yeah, it was quick in this game, but we are into year 3 of the Spencer Petras experience, and so I mean for Iowa fans to voice their displeasure at this point in the process, I think they're just mildly disgruntled at the we haven't seen the improvement from Spencer that you would like to see in a third-year starter. So I just kind of wanted to say that it's not as though he was a true freshman making his first start and Iowa fans just flipped a switch on because he threw an incomplete pass. That's not exactly how that went down.
I got a question for you, Pat,
Yeah.
because Paul and I, neither one of us, as you know, don't live in Iowa, and to us, it seems like, because through Facebook and all the social media, it seems like the normal hate week rivalry stuff between Iowa and Iowa State didn't take place this year, or it was real quiet. And was it like that, actually like that in the state, or was there a lot going on?
I think it was quiet. I mean, they're just starting to kind of do a little bit of it on TV right now, last couple of days, and I don't know what it was. If there was something else occupying people's attention, but it seems a little more low key this time. Maybe it's because Iowa's won so much; it's not that big a deal. I don't know, but
I have a hypothesis. I mean, if you've got Iowa having 5-6 wins in a row in the series, and we'd like to puff our chests out about that, but then we look at our offense right now, and quite frankly, I don't think any of us are all that confident that we're going to win the game. So, Iowa fans, we don't really want to get out there and be like, haha, it's hate week or this or that, knowing that the results of this game probably aren't going to go our way. And then, for Iowa State fans, what can they say other than, they can have that quiet confidence knowing that, they can do their talking on Sunday or Saturday evening.
Well,
yeah, that's kind of where I was at too. I was kind of thinking it was a quiet confidence by the Cyclones, because I think the Cyclones fans probably do believe that this is the year that they finally get over the hump, because Iowa fans are very low key, but I think many of them are a little scared that we're not going to be able to pull this one out with the offense that we've got. But we can hold defense, we can hold Iowa State to low scores, but we just still feel like, I think Iowa State's going to still outscore us, because they do have what it looks like a very dangerous offense.
Well, I think we had a better shot 2 years ago, but COVID took care of some of that. But I guess from my perspective, I've taken enough crap that I'm trying to be a little humble, and when we get the upper hand, it's try to do it with a little class, I guess. I mean, and the other thing is, guys, I mean, geez, I would trade a loss to Iowa for a win over Oklahoma or Texas anytime. You guys would do the same thing for Ohio State or Michigan.
Absolutely.
I just want both these teams to kick ass in each of their conferences. I mean, I'm a Cyclone. I want Iowa State to win tomorrow, but I'm an Iowan. I mean, and I feel the same way about UNI, especially UNI, because I'm next door to them, and I've been a season ticket holder for I don't know how many years. But if I'm not in Ames, I'm usually in Cedar Falls. But it's just I mean, we just.
Yeah.
And we can all agree on Nebraska, I think.
Right. I've always felt like if the Iowa State series has to carry on, because I do think the way we schedule our non-conference games, I'd like to get a little more variety with some more Power 5 schools mixed in. But I mean, Kirk, we're with that Iowa State rivalry in there. And 9 conference games, Kirk's just not. We're just not going to get into, any of these premier non-conference early season matchups. It's just not going to happen. So from that perspective, knowing that Iowa State's got to be on the schedule, and for wanting Iowa to be successful. I think Iowa State being good does not hurt Iowa in that fashion. We'd rather have battles and have a respectful win or a respectful loss with Iowa State than put it on 55-10 and have Iowa State be a 2-10 team. That does nothing for Iowa in that case. So good or bad, all things considered. So I'd much rather see a strong Iowa State. As long as the series continues.
As one who lived through the Jim Kreiner era, I completely agree with you. I mean, and I see, and Iowa State's got Miami of Ohio the following week, so I think that gives them an opportunity to catch their breath a little bit going to conference. The other thing is, with the conference expansion coming down the pike, you're going to have less opportunity for these non-conference games. And, I mean, it's getting to be like an NFL schedule, really. I mean, with the 12-team playoff and everything like that. And if you guys get USC and UCLA coming in, and God knows who we might end up with. I mean, I think they did a good job picking up the teams they did after Oklahoma and Texas booked, but it'd be nice to get Colorado back, and I don't know, maybe some of the other Pac-10 teams would be interested. I don't know, but I'm just glad Iowa State's got a damn conference to be in.
I saw the stats. I saw some of the highlights. I am curious. Would you consider Deckers to be more of a pocket passer? Is he mobile? Is he kind of a tweener? He's a drop back passer, but with some mobility. How would you say he is?
What you said, drop back passer with some mobility. In fact, that's what Coach Ferentz said. He said when he gets cornered, he can take off, but he rolls and he sidearms and stuff. It's I mean, it's not on. I'm not anywhere near this scale, but it's like Favre could roll when he had to, but he didn't. That wasn't his preference. I mean, Rodgers is more of a runner than Favre is, but yeah, he can do it when he has to, but
he may have to do it a lot Saturday. But that's what I feel like that's the type of quarterback that we don't have success with because, we start to chase him. So we start to chase him around, and then they start moving around and just get out of our grasp. But they're keeping their eyes downfield the whole time, and they finally find somebody and get that ball off just in time. And they always make a spectacular catch, and it's usually like on 4th and 10 or something like that.
yeah.
Obviously, competition plays a role here, but when you see Decker scrambling, is he more of a threat to take off and run, or is he scrambling with that mentality of trying to keep the pass play alive?
He's trying to find a receiver,
okay,
and get the ball to him any way he can, and he's got more than Xavier. They got some tight ends coming along too. There was one, I can't remember the guy's name, but it looked like I thought, well, it looked like they found a good replacement, a successor to Charlie Kohler. But they've got guys up the middle that can. He's got outlet guys, if Xavier's covered. But it's just, I'm surprised they didn't put more coverage on Xavier. There was one play where, he clearly got inside on a play in the end zone. It was like I think everybody in the stadium knew he was going to get it. It was just, and maybe it's just competition level. I didn't know anything about Southeast Missouri, but they gave us fits in the first half, and then it's just kind of the numbers and everything kind of took over.
I'm gonna stop you guys just for a second. In case you guys haven't noticed, Jason has joined us. Jason, can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, everything's great. I was thinking 9. So 9
Central, yeah. I knew Paul meant 9 Eastern because that's the only time he talks.
So I'm good.
We should have clarified it. But anyway, we're glad you're here, Jason, because you bring a lot of insight and stuff to this. And so far, we're just talking about who some of the dangerous players are that Iowa should keep their eye on for Saturday.
I just want to put it out here real quick too. No, we are not all in the same room in different corners of the room. We all have these yellow walls going on. It does look like we're all kind of in the same room in just different corners. But
it really does. This is my oldest boy. He's a sophomore in college now, and he moved out for the first time this year. And so I just took over his bedroom. So this is actually how he had his bedroom. So it was easy for me.
Yeah, I came home from 2 weeks in Oklahoma and found this fat guy over here on my wall. I painted the wall gold with some other intentions what to do with that wall, and I came home and my wife bought that. What do they call it? Fathead? She bought that fathead and stuck it up there for me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't bring many props, but I got this Iowa State Fiesta Bowl cap a buddy in Phoenix got.
Limited edition.
What's that?
It's got to be a limited edition.
I know we couldn't get down there, so it was like he said, man, goes, don't set it on a shelf. Make sure you wear it. So I'm wearing it.
Right.
There you go.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well,
Jason, you have anything you want to add? I mean, I know you
well,
missed some of the conversation.
I heard the end, so I mean, I can just jump in with Hunter Deckers because I saw him play in high school. In my mind, like he's the best. Like I said in your last stream, Dean, he's the best quarterback to come out of the state of Iowa in a very long time, in my opinion. He is he's very accurate, which I think is his best attribute is his accuracy. We'll have to wait and see how he reads the defense because when you play Iowa, you have to read the defense because they're going to be in their spots, right? But once he sees it, once Decker sees it, he will be accurate. The question is, will he see it against Iowa? And that's what I'll be looking for. Because if he can pick Iowa apart like Purdue does, if Xavier can do what David Bell does, Iowa could be in trouble because Decker is accurate where Purdy wasn't. I don't want to make fun of Purdy. I'm sorry, but Deckers has actually got a lot more accuracy than Purdy ever could. So when Deckers sees it, he'll throw it and it's going to be there. So what I'll be watching in the first quarter, especially, is how Iowa covers Xavier and how Deckers and him can put it together. Because you can pick. Purdue's proved it, right? You can pick Iowa's defense apart. You're not going to go all the way down the field, but if you're just consistent in what you do, you can make your way all the way down the field and then eventually hit them over the top. So that's the thing is Deckers is a really good talent in my mind. I seen him in high school. He's always been, my worry is the deep ball because last week South Dakota State had a deep ball was wide open, like nobody around him, and Deckers is going to hit that throw. So that's how I'm going to gauge on how the game's going to go is how Iowa State's offense is prepared. Like I always make the comment, Campbell's never going to beat Kirk Ferentz because he doesn't adjust his style. Like legit, Campbell could have won the last couple of games just by running the dang football, but he wouldn't run the football. Iowa State was averaging like 5 yards a carry a couple of those games, and they refused to run it because they wanted to win it with Purdy or whatever. I don't understand it. Iowa couldn't stop the running game, but yet they just kept passing. Well, this is the opposite in my mind. Deckers is a much better quarterback than Purdy. Deckers is much more accurate. Now, does he read a defense as good as Purdy could? Because a lot of times Purdy could see it, but he'll throw it off into God's country. Not as often as what Peters does, obviously, but you know what I mean. Where Deckers, I feel, is in more control. When he's scrambling, he could take off and run, but does he? That's another question: is will he take off and run? I mean, is he going to look downfield, or is he going to take those 3 to 5 yards, whatever he has, and then let's start over, right? So the key is for Iowa State is to not make mistakes, and I don't feel Deckers is going to make near as many mistakes as what Purdy made, in my mind. But we'll see. It all remains to be seen. But I just think X with Deckers is a recipe like what David Bell, was with Purdue. That's how I'm looking at this game. Because I don't think Iowa State would be able to run the ball this time around. So
I have a question on that. Is there any step back at all at the running back position from Breece Hall? Is there? I mean, I don't know. I again, I didn't get to see the game, so I would imagine you probably don't have another bona fide NFL running back first round talent there, do you?
Well, Brock got on track second half. He did pretty well, but like I said, this kid, that Petrivas, he's only a freshman, but if they want to relieve Brock and change it up a little bit, I mean he could surprise them with a quick one up the middle and that kind of thing. And I agree, I think Brock got rattled under pressure a lot, and
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, and the other thing was it was like Sam Richardson. Sam would he'd tuck and run because he'd be afraid to throw sometimes. It seemed like,
Yeah.
and I think Deckers has got a little more confidence, but also he's probably going to take a few more chances too. And but that goes with being a quarterback, right? I mean,
Right.
he he threw a bad pick, and they survived that mistake, and it was early on. So the other thing that's cool about Iowa State was when they're rattling up the starters. I think 3/4 of those guys are from Iowa now. It used to be if you wanted to see an Iowa kid play football, you watched a UNI game. But Campbell's done a great job in state, I think, and he's getting enough skill players from elsewhere, and it's kind of cool. And what's really neat about Campbell is in his coach's show he talked about his senior guys called them servant leaders. Like they're part of their job is to bring the younger guys along and prop them up. And you heard some of that in the post game stuff because Xavier was really, bragging up Deckers and said, "I told you guys, this is what was going to happen." And then Brock said the same thing about Katrivas. He said, "Yeah." I knew the guy was going to be. He said, "I wouldn't want to defend him." I mean, they hold each other up, which is kind of cool. I saw, I think some of the Hawkeyes tried to do that with Petrus this week too in the interviews I saw, and that's cool.
I got a quick question though. Is the freshman playing though?
Yeah.
Running back.
He just had 3 touches for 21 yards, but he damn near broke a draw play in the second half.
I heard he got hurt though.
He was on the mat, but he got up on the table, but they didn't see him cart him off or anything.
I just saw Matt Campbell's press conference, and it sounded like that he might not play today. It was him and somebody else.
There was a receiver, I think, that got banged up a little bit. Yeah, I did see him go on the table. Now that you say it, but I didn't see them taking him out or carting him off or anything. So, and I didn't follow up on it. But you probably know more than I do.
Because he actually looks better than Brock, in my opinion. But he's a freshman, so I understand the role. But when the ball's in his hands, sometimes that's just natural talent, and he looks like he has a lot of natural talent.
Yeah. And then the other thing, this backup quarterback that brought in Rocco, he was laying the ball on the money too, and pulled a couple of pass interference calls that got to drive into their territory. So it's like, they got another one chomping at the bit right behind them. It's kind of cool.
Right.
Campbell seems to find the guys. It's kind of neat.
Well, I agree. He finds the guys, but his game day coaching is to be desired in my mind. That's his next step. Because he does have a lot of talent. Like, they had a ton of talent last year. But I think Matt Campbell, he screws himself a lot on game days with the way he coaches game days. Like, I think he actually could win more games if he took lessons from Kirk as far as that's concerned.
Do you think there's a maturity thing there going on, or?
Well, I think so. I think he's learning how to win football games.
Yeah.
And but I also think he has a style that he wants to win with, which isn't the way to be. Like, you have to do what your team does best. Yeah. And when you have a running back like Breece Hall, but the funny part about this, now that I'm bringing this up, he used Breece Hall in the Big 12. It was always against Iowa where he really didn't use him as often as he should have. It was like he was saving something for the Big 12. He didn't want to get him hurt. There was just all kinds, and he does that against Iowa a lot.
There was a couple of games early on when, and Montgomery too, was like, I think it was a TCU game where it was kind of in doubt, and then these guys bust one. It's like, oh, thank God,
Right. Yeah. And but see, that's back-to-back running backs that are in the NFL.
Yeah.
That, in my opinion, he didn't use them because he wants to throw the ball.
Yeah.
I think he could win a lot more games if he just adjusts his style with what he has. Now, saying that, I think this year his style is going to work a lot better, but it remains to be seen. Because I don't think Iowa State can run the ball nearly as well this year, in my opinion, from what I've seen.
Well, they didn't get going until the second half this last week, I know, because they started, making some gains, and then, like I said, Katrivas fella kid, he kind of really opened stuff up, and then they were sort of back on their heels, and Brock ran a lot of outside the tackle plays, and seemed like they could get 5 yards a pop.
Right.
And that's a contrast to back in the Donnie Duncan days where he threw everything he had into 2 games all year, Iowa and Oklahoma, and then they were all banged up the rest of the season. run Dwayne Crutchfield 50 carries a game and stuff like that.
Right.
I always thought that maybe Dan McCartney's downfall is that he threw everything into the Iowa game, and it kind of screwed him for the rest of the season. Although McCartney did have winning seasons, let's don't get that wrong, but it always just seemed like that. Well, give me another example. Last year with Iowa State was expected to do so well, challenge for the Big 12, and they were ranked right up there in the top, near the playoff standings. So they were expected to challenge. And I heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that after they lost the Iowa game, that it just kind of sucked the wind out of them in the locker room, and the culture had changed a little bit. Maybe you can address that, Pat. I'm just kind of curious if that was true.
I don't know. I mean, I just watching it, I felt like they kind of got snake bit right out of the chute as many times as they turned the ball over. But I mean, you're supposed to suck it up beyond that. The other thing is, I don't think Iowa State surprised everybody the way they did the year before.
Right.
It's kind of a breakout year, and and it's was kind of funny because it's just like we finally get a really decent team, and then no respect, the Sooners dump on us, and everybody's like, so all of a sudden we're like the freaking bad guys. It's like I was watching, what was it, one Heartland College Sports, and it was like, geez, guys, why don't you just change your name to Sooner College Sports?
Well, and I think we know this as Iowa fans, and I've definitely heard this sports cliche more than a few times, but it's out there that it's easier to climb the mountain than it is to stay on top of it. And and for Iowa State, they had the COVID year and the Fiesta Bowl, and that was kind of their climb. But once you're up there, it's tough, and it's tough with expectations when and Iowa fans, we have our Iowa teams, we seem to have the same struggles. And maybe it's not this way, but it sure does feel like Iowa is more successful in seasons where the expectations aren't the moon. Whereas, coming in, if Iowa's a top 10 ranked team in the preseason, it's awfully hard to live up to those expectations and the pressures of it. So
yeah.
Well, they started the season unranked, so that should bode well for the rest of the season, right?
I see they got votes though in the poll this last week.
Even after their poor performance, it must be the defense that got them votes.
There's enough respect out there for the defense that we're going to be in 11 of our 12 games if we can play that kind of defense.
So I'm assuming Ohio State's the one we're not even going to be close.
No. I've researched that so much, and I've went through it the way I do my gambling, kind of like this week with USC. No matter every possibility I'm trying to throw out there, there's got to be a way Iowa can be in this game, and I can't. Much like USC this weekend against Stanford, I can't see Ohio State not beating Iowa by 21. Because the defense will keep it within 21. The offense has to figure something out to make it within 21. I think Ohio State is going to score on everybody. I think the Ohio State-Notre Dame game was just like the first game of the season type fill out for the offense. But I think once the offense gets clicking, I can't see it because they have the best running back, the best receivers, the best quarterback. I'm only going off offense. If that Ohio State defense figures anything out, whatever.
Yeah. So I think my daughter's going to switch her allegiance to Iowa State because she lives in Oklahoma City, and I think she said she's about 45 minutes from Norman and about a little over an hour and 15 minutes from wherever Oklahoma State's from.
Stillwater.
Stillwater, yeah. I almost had to go pick her up when I was there for 2 weeks in Oklahoma. I almost had to go pick her up in Stillwater because their plane wouldn't land her in Oklahoma City. Took her to Stillwater, but my son-in-law happened to be up in that area, so he got her and picked her up from the Stillwater airport. But that's a neither here story. But which one is Iowa State's going to one of them this year? Which one are they going to?
Oklahoma's at home because I got tickets to that one. So they must.
Okay, so they're going to Oklahoma State. So my daughter's anxious about that. She wants to start going anytime Iowa State comes down there. She wants to start going to their games, and I says, "Well, you probably have about 1 year left to see the Sooners come." Because I says next year is probably their last year in the Big 12. So
yeah, so Oklahoma State's staying in the Big 12, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But I'm just saying it. But she kind of wanted to see the Sooners, because her part of Oklahoma City, it's more Sooners than there is Cowboys.
Yeah, I've seen enough of the Sooners in Ames.
Well, yeah, but your Iowa State against Oklahoma last year though was a pretty game.
Yeah.
Right? It was really close. And then what was it? 30 seconds in the first half. Purdy fumbles. They return it for a touchdown. Is that how that?
This is what I was saying. Brock just seemed like he got really rattled and pressured and stuff. And I'm glad he's doing as well as he is in San Francisco. But
Right.
That's just.
Because I kind of remember like it was a tie game before that Purdy fumble right before half.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. How often does the last guy picked in the NFL draft actually catch on with a team?
Oh my God!
They catch on, but I mean,
not all the time.
They usually make the teams, but they don't do much.
Yeah. I have a question in regards to back to our football game tomorrow. Obviously, I don't think the Iowa offense concerns you much. And it shouldn't, right? At least not with the evidence that we can present at the moment. Are you more concerned about Iowa State losing the game than you are Iowa coming out winning the game?
That's a good question. Yeah, well, just because of the turnovers we had the last 2 times we played,
Right.
And the other thing is, I think that defense is kind of soft around the edges, and they're going to have to toughen up in a hurry. I think they can, and it's just like, if the Hawkeyes receivers were healthy, that would probably help Iowa, but it doesn't sound like that's improved much. You guys know more about that than I do.
It hasn't improved at all.
Other than
The
Brody,
ones that played last week are playing this week.
Brody though,
It wouldn't matter if we could trot Randy Moss out there. If we can't block Iowa State's defensive line, it doesn't matter.
Well, do they throw to the backs much at all?
We throw over the back a lot, or behind the back, or at the feet of the back.
Yes.
I was going to say.
Yes, to answer your question, their running back last year caught two passes out of the backfield.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll throw in that general direction. Now, whether or not it is a catchable pass, it's not even 50-50, but
you just reminded me of a 3-shot sequence a Register ran back from the Cummings era when Bob Cummings Jr. was quarterbacking. And it was,
Gosh.
where's Bob throwing to? And then they show the ball going over the coach. It said, not at Dad. They kept on going.
Bob Cummings wasn't even a Division I quarterback. Junior, I mean. Oh, he was awful. No wonder if Bob Cummings had probably picked a real quarterback, he might have saved his job a little bit longer than he did.
Yeah.
he could have been worse than Little Licklider. Oh, that's
Yeah.
Guys,
He wasn't a Division I point guard either.
I was at the UNI Iowa game at Kinnick. Was that 2014 when David Johnson was playing for UNI?
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of guys in front of me, and they've had a few. And pretty soon the crowd starts getting on Ferentz about his clock management. And it's like, I've never heard a home crowd turn on their own guy like this. It's not, and this kid stands up and says, he's overpaid. And I finally just got tired of it. And I said, no, he's not. I'll tell you who's overpaid. He goes, who? I said, Licklider.
And he sat his young ass back down. Damn, he's right. Damn.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Was
did.
that the year? Was that the year that Iowa needed 2 block field goal attempts to save the game?
No, that was I think that's 09, Mick. This was but UNI did have the lead in that game because they got the ball out to David Johnson. Once he got past the linebackers, he was taking off. You know, they did have the lead once, maybe twice, and then the Hawks kind of pulled away.
Yeah, David Johnson did to Iowa's defense what McCaffrey did in the Rose Bowl.
Oh,
Pretty much exactly the same thing. They both had a touchdown off the angle route right over the middle of the field and then outran everybody. They both had that long touchdown.
Yeah.
Pretty much looked exactly the same.
Yeah, is he still playing for the Arizona Cardinals?
No, he's with
he's with the Texans now, isn't he? If he's still playing,
Yeah.
He got hurt, which was too bad. And then,
Yeah, running backs don't last long in the NFL.
no,
That's why they try to get paid. They got to get paid right away.
yeah. But this is the 45th anniversary renewal of the rivalry. It started in '77. That first one was 12-7 at Iowa City. They played the first 4 in Iowa City.
Yeah.
And like four Iowa field goals and a punt return by Tom Buck. That was all the scoring.
Yeah, that's
I feel young in this conversation.
Yeah, that game, I can just remember how the excitement that was going around. You know, everybody's going, "Who you got? Who you got? Who you got?" Everybody.
And then you have the Pepsi bottles.
Because in our lifetime, they had never played together, against each other.
Yeah.
But, was Iowa State good in the 70s?
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
You had that coach who went to Ohio State, right?
Johnny Majors and Earl Bruce.
Earl Bruce, yeah.
Yeah, they were. Majors took them to the Sun Bowl in 71-72 and to the Liberty Bowl. In 71, they were 8-3, and their 3 losses were to Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Colorado, were ranked 1, 2, 3 in the country at the time. And then Earl had 3 4-7 seasons and 3 8-3 seasons. Came within 1 game of the Orange Bowl in '76, lost to Jimmy Johnson and Oklahoma State. And the last year, that was the second year of the renewal of the rivalry. Iowa State beat them like 31-0 at Kinnick, and our guys tore down the goalpost. I was listening to it on WHO, and Evashevsky was doing color commentary then with Zabel, and he said, I think Bump Elliott's going to send a bill to Lou McCullough for those goalposts.
We ended up doing that to Minnesota in 2002. So I guess what goes around comes around a little bit.
The fans took that one down, though.
Oh, yeah.
And then
tried to get it out of the dome.
Apparently, the only thing that stopped him was the revolving doors.
Yep.
Oh, well, the year before I got to Ames, we beat Nebraska, and the guys on my dorm floors got crossbar on the goalpost, and they tried to rig up some rope and haul it up the side of the towers. Dorms are on the 9th floor of the towers. Campus series said, "No, guys, you're not going to try that." So they got a hacksaw and cut up the crossbar and took it up the elevator. It was still laying in the den when I got there that fall.
Hey, that is a school of engineers. They're going to find a way.
That's right. That was a work.
Did you guys talk about your predictions of this game, or have you?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now seems like a good time to talk a little Sensi.
Oh.
Okay, go for it, Paul.
All right. So, as you guys can see, we do have the link here on the screen at the bottom for Sensi by Terry Sensi page. She makes all of this possible for us, and we get our Sensi products from Terry. My wife loves the stuff. She actually used to sell it too, but she got out of the Sensi business, and so now we go straight through Terry. These things they do smell good. I happen to be holding Incandescent Pearl, and as you can see, we do use it. We've been using it. This one smells really good. It's got a nice, fresh, clean scent. If you want your house to smell good, if you want your clothes to smell good, you want your bathrooms to smell good, kitchen to smell good, check out Sensei's Terry page. There's products for everything. It's products you're already buying. Your wife's already buying the stuff. Someone in your house is buying these products. Just buy it from a fellow Hawkeye fan. Support us, support Terry, and thank you.
Nice. Okay. Let's take this conversation to might as well do our predictions right now. Okay, you guys aren't going to like me.
Go, Dean. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 12-9 Iowa State.
That'll be a fun game.
Unless Iowa can prove that they got an offense. Honestly, I haven't seen anything of Iowa State's offense yet this year because of the lack of not wanting to pay for ESPN Plus. But the one thing I will say is I got enough faith in Iowa's defense that I think we can keep them from marching the field for a touchdown. But I don't know if I believe there's enough talent there between the quarterback and the receiver and the running back that I think they can get close enough to kick 4 field goals. And I think our offense this week might get three field goals. I don't know that our offense has proven we can't move the ball, so I don't see any reason why I think we're going to score a touchdown this week. That's my theory. Guys, take it away with your predictions.
I'll go next. Yeah. Modern college football, it is just not possible to go back-to-back games without scoring an offensive touchdown, right? I do think Iowa gets it together just a little bit. There is enough Division I talent on this team that we get the running game going a little bit. You were saying maybe we can get to the edges a little bit. If we can find just a little offensive success, and we get a lot of help from the defense, a lot of help from the special teams, Torrey Taylor. I'm not really trying to be snarky here, but we can almost rely on Iowa State giving us 7 to 10 points. And we're going to need them all. If Iowa hopes to win, and I hope that they can come up with a win, 17-14, 20-17. It's if the game gets over 20 points, Iowa State's running away with it. I mean, Iowa, we're going to have to make this one of these ugly, mud fights. We got to muddy it up. And if the game is muddied up, if it's 7-3 at halftime, 10-7 in the third quarter, Iowa has a chance. But that's it. It's not. I think Iowa has a chance to win the game. It's at some point Iowa State might have to lose the game.
All right, I'll go, and we'll leave Iowa State guy for the last. I have Iowa winning 17-14. I do think after I did watch the Iowa State game, and Southeast Missouri State had 250 yards of offense in the first half alone. I do think
we had 163 for the game.
Right.
Yeah.
But we didn't play Southeast Missouri State, so there's a difference. But I do think Iowa's going to get. I was hard on Petrus all week because that game was 90% his fault. So many wide open receivers. But I think Budemeyer is doing his job by what I was hearing, because when they watched tape, they obviously saw the same thing I saw. There was so many times where Petrus had a pocket to hit the wide open receivers. Receivers were so wide open, they didn't even cover Bruce. They doubled Laporta. They didn't cover Bruce, and he still only had 5 catches on 8 targets. So Petrus did play his worst game, right? Petrus has already proven he can win games. So regardless, and the reason why he wins games isn't because of him as much as he doesn't turn the ball over, right? It's not like he's throwing touchdowns. He just doesn't turn the ball over and lets the defense win. So we're sitting here talking like we have never seen this style of Iowa football before. Like, oh, wow, they've never done this. Look at that. They win with defense and special teams, right? That's what they do. That's Kirk's style. That's what Parker wants. The defensive coordinator, Coach Parker, wants to be the all-star. He wants you to punt the ball away, and he wants to stop them from scoring at the end of a game, right? This is, I mean, all the the coaches that we're talking were all offensive coaches, right? And but the defense knows this is what they've been doing forever. Special teams knows. Torrey Taylor knows. I have to pin these guys inside the 5. I got my boy Terry, right, down the ball inside the 5. So I don't go as far as the season does not go off of week 1. It never has. I can remember so many games where Iowa looked like crap. There was one year they looked like crap, barely beat Ball State or somebody, and then turn around and beat Iowa State 31-3 the next week. So this is a history. It's not like this. This is literally a trend of Iowa football. Play crappy on offense, but still win the game, and do the same thing the next week, or even have a little bit more offense and still win the game. So I will win in 17-14, which is I'm gonna win my emotional hedge bet, because Vegas knows as well. No matter, all the money is being poured in on Iowa State. So I did put money on Iowa State, but Vegas kept it at 3.5 in Iowa's favor. So if Iowa does cover, Vegas is going to make out like a bandit, because they just completely ignored what it tells you is all the big money people who put 6 figures on these games, were putting their money on Iowa. So that's why they kept it up there. And all the small time, like myself, were betting on Iowa State. All the people who bet off of the box scores, they're like at the box score, they're going, oh, God, I'm going to bet on Iowa State this week. How is Iowa favored, right? Vegas banks on people like that. So I actually think Iowa could win by a bigger margin. I'm just picking the 17-14 just for my emotional hedge bet that I did. So if Iowa State does win this game, at least I have some money coming in that will help me feel a little bit better. I'll still be mad and angry, but because I don't want to see Iowa obviously lose this game. And I just don't see how they really know it. There's only one factor in my mind, because I think if somebody said that Iowa State's edges aren't very good, pass rush, they're very good. McDonald is really good, right? But stopping a run, he struggles in that area. If it's 3rd and long, crap, McDonald's going to come off the ball hard, right? But if you run the ball right at him, that's something that you can do. So I want to see it. I want to see. My thing is, the only way that Iowa loses this game is if they can't stop Decker and X's combination. Because, the way Iowa plays defense, it's going to be man-to-man in this little area, like the David Bell situation. So it depends on how Iowa State calls the game. They could pick Iowa apart if they're patient. It's all about patience against Iowa's defense. So that's kind of, I'm scratching week 1. I don't care about what week 1 was, because everybody saw how bad Petrus played regardless. So, and if he plays that bad this week, Padilla comes out in the second half, and we see if he does any better. There's my rant.
Okay, there you go. Pat, your turn.
Well, I'm giving the edge to the Hawks because of the defense and the weather.
Kinnick Stadium.
It's supposed to start raining at halftime. If Iowa State can jump out fast and not turn the ball over, they got a shot. And I think you're right. If it gets to be high scoring, that favors the Hawkeyes. Favors the Cyclones. Low scoring favors the Hawkeyes. I just remember Brian Billick, the old Ravens coach, said, when you got a game and the other guy's placed, you got to go and knock the door over with a great big spear and say, where in the hell is that son of a bitch? And that's the way Iowa State's got to play.
Right.
Little fearless.
Yeah.
And, Campbell's capable of getting these guys fired up, but like you said, they got to have a game plan. And I think you guys are exactly right. And as far as week 1s, yeah, no kidding. I've seen Iowa State had an opener against Bowling Green, and they looked like world beaters, and they got ranked, and then everything went right downhill after that. And then I've seen years where they had a nail biter against Drake, and then they ended up going to a bowl game. So
Exactly. That's my point. Yep.
yeah, and then the other thing is like looking at year in year out, it seemed like early on, like the Hawkeyes had great success in the years that they lost to Iowa State. I mean, the first Rose Bowl year, we won that game.
2002 is another good example.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, but yeah, I just think Iowa State's got to jump out early. They can't turn the ball over, but with all the unknowns, defense always kind of takes the day. So if, like you guys said, if the Hawks can keep it close, the elements and the defense is going to take care of the rest of it. And I'm just scared to death. I saw those safeties; they were pretty. That's something we definitely need to avoid along with turning the ball over. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but maybe I'm downplaying expectations a little bit here. But I'm giving the nod to the Hawks on the defense and just knowing what the weather's going to be.
Okay.
I didn't know that about the weather. That actually is in Iowa's favor. If it starts raining stuff where Iowa State can't just chuck the ball around, that's actually in Iowa's favor. That's a good call. I didn't know about that.
I'm just going to say, I just want to throw this. I'm blaming both of you guys right now if this turns into another 9.5 hour Iowa State game, because my liver can't handle a 5-hour intermission. Like it just.
If we do another 5-hour intermission, I'm not. I have to be over at my son-in-law's house because we're watching the fights and we paid for it. So,
well, as long as they don't stop the damn game for too many play reviews and stuff like that. I was at a UNI Iowa State game. And I think thing took about 4.5 hours. Some guy 5 rows above me yelled, "Snap the ball!"
We were talking about that with the Fox game. What was it? The Purdue Penn State game that started at 7 or 8 o'clock, didn't get over till after midnight Eastern time because Fox.
Yeah. Well, the Iowa game went over 4 hours too last week, and that was on Fox 1.
Well, that was because Petrus couldn't complete a pass. I mean, if he completes some passes, the clock keeps running.
It just seems like the commercials. It's just like, come on, they only got a minute for timeout, and you guys run 17, 18 minutes of commercials before we go back to the game.
It's like watching a movie on AMC. Don't watch The Godfather on AMC. You'll be there all day.
They turn it into a 4-hour movie. Yeah,
I love how at the beginning of those movies too, there's the disclaimer that the movie was edited for time allotted. Time allotted. You gave it 19 hours. You couldn't get it all in.
Yeah. Don't.
I'm ready though.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, 3 o'clock. I'm ready to see it because Iowa's got to improve. I mean, their offense has to improve. There's nowhere else. There's nowhere else for Petrus to go. 1.1 quarterback
to the bench. That's the only place for him to go. To the sideline.
Yeah, he's got to sit on the pine.
I'm hoping maybe Deckers will have a Sea of Hands play or something if they're comparing to Stabler.
I'm telling you though, he is a good one, and Deckers is going to be good in Campbell's offense. Like all the stuff I just said about his game day management, which I think is a lot of why he loses games. I think Deckers is actually going to help him with what Campbell wants to do, because his arm talent and his brain is really good, and it's been good for a while.
If Iowa State doesn't do anything to beat Iowa State tomorrow, Iowa's going to have a real tough time, honestly, because Iowa State is competent on offense. Iowa right now does not appear to be. And so, I think Iowa State is very capable of, even against a very good Iowa defense, they're not going to be shut out. They're going to get 10, 17 points. So as long as Iowa State doesn't gift Iowa 10 to 17 points, they have a real good chance of winning.
Or muff a punt.
Right. Fumble a kickoff. throw a couple of pick sixes Riley Moss's way. I mean, like it would have to be a series of events that took place where all of Iowa State Nation is just going, not again. Like seriously, how does it happen again?
Exactly.
I mean, short of that type of sequence happening, I know week 1, week 2 improvement, but man, oof.
That's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of improvement this week. I just don't see how it changes in my mind, but
I'm with
who
you.
knows?
Like I said,
Who knows? I could be wrong. We're up on the hour. Couple of questions real quick before Jason, did you have some things you kind of non-state related that you kind of wanted to talk about?
No.
Or
not
did you
this
want
time.
to? Did you want to pass on that?
I'll pass on that right now.
what is your lock of the weekend?
Well, I actually got 4 of them, but yeah, it's gonna be a $4,000 weekend. I got $1,000 on USC at -8 over Stanford. The same with Wake Forest at -13, and the over Vanderbilt. I think that game is going to score 80 points or more. The Vanderbilt Wake Forest game, and the over/under is 65. And then, holy buckets, what's my 4th one? Wake Forest, the over, USC. I have another one. I have it wrote down. I can't remember what it was, but those are my 3. I think they're going to be locks. I'm undefeated, so I thought, you know what? I see these. Let's go for it this week. Like I said, I got the Iowa State game, the Iowa State game. So I need something that's going to make me happy in case I'm wrong on that game. If Iowa State ends up, because I am afraid of Hunter Deckers. Like he was one of my favorite quarterbacks watching the state of Iowa. So and he's got the skills, and Matt Campbell does have the brains to, that Brom offense, right? It's similar. It's spread the field, throw the ball around. So, yeah, I am nervous about that. The first quarter is going to tell me a lot. Is Decker's going to be, because he's young, right? So being in Kinnick, I think Iowa is so lucky that this game is in Kinnick because Deckers is young, right? So, but he's always so calm. Like you really don't know much what's going through his mind. So I'm nervous with X being David Bell, with Deckers throwing in the ball. I just got to see it, right? And Iowa they could put X on the opposite side of Moss because Iowa does not switch side, right? So like Matt Hankins always had David Bell, and that's because Purdue knew Matt Hankins couldn't cover David Bell ever. Even when David Bell was a true freshman, if you go back to 2019, the last time Iowa beat Purdue, David Bell was a true freshman and had 180 yards receiving against Matt Hankins. So that's what makes me nervous about this game is I don't know, because I know how good Deckers is. We all know how good X is, but are they going to be good that day? And I pray for rain before the game starts.
Yeah, I'm not, and here's the thing, like I'm already less than like supremely confident in our kicking game, our field goal game. We missed a fairly chip shot one last week. And we're talking about muddying up a game and keeping the score close. And if it comes down at the end to a field goal, I don't know that I love Iowa in that circumstance.
He just missed his very first kick, but they have 2 really good kickers because he came back and hit a 46-yarder, and there was no doubt, right? So I think the nerves got to him on that first kick because remember, they were 15 for 15 kicking the ball in their spring game or whatever heck you want to call it, their summer scrimmage, 15 of 15, and each of them had a 53-yard field goal. So my outside brain, though, thinks they got the wrong guy starting kicking. I think Stevens should be the kicker, but it's not. I'm not there. I'm not Woods. Woods obviously knows what he's doing. I don't, as far as special teams is concerned. So I feel good about that right now. We'll find out.
All right. Well, guys, I think we should end this, and it's been over an hour, and I hate to have these things go longer than an hour because it's hard enough to get people to sit and watch 10, 15 minutes, let alone an hour.
We have
So,
Brad Pitt. We have Brad Pitt.
Look at
Brad
this beautiful
Pitt's back in the
screen.
house.
Oh, thank you, guys. This has all been very encouraging. I didn't think I'd get support group from 3 Hawkeye fans.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah, this is cool. Yeah.
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 Well,
I
thank
just
you
told
guys.
Parker
Thank you,
yesterday,
Pat, for agreeing to come on here because I know that you had your doubts about you thought you might be bombarded and
Well, like
so-
I told some road contractors I went to Iowa State when I wear they compliment my Iowa State cap, and I said, yeah, someplace I go, I feel like I'm in the Confederate Army.
I was just going to say that a lot of people think it's like Democrat Republican with the Iowa State fans. It's really not. I mean, everybody other than students, when students are the crazy ones that I've ever run into.
Yeah.
So like Iowa State fans are always nice and cordial, and my in-laws are all State fans. I'd go to Iowa State games with them, but I'd still wear my Iowa gear, and I would always get harassed by the students at Iowa State, right? Because I'm not going to go into that stadium without my Hawkeye gear, even though it was like an Iowa State-Nebraska game, or I went to a lot of games that wasn't Iowa State in that stadium, but I'd still always wear my Iowa gear.
Yeah.
But as far as grown-ups, I've never had any issues, but the students, woo.
Yeah.
The students
I've
get
never
drunk.
been to a football game in that stadium. I have been to a basketball game in Hilton, and to this day I'm very jealous of the atmosphere of Hilton versus Carver. I wish we had that kind of atmosphere at Carver.
And it goes vice versa with the football games. The Kinnick atmosphere is 10 times better than Iowa State's.
Right.
Because in Kinnick, it's like the opposite of the basketball. In Kinnick, all the fans are on the players, right? They're like 10 feet from all the players. So they're down there right on with them. So that's the opposite of Kinnick, Carver, where everybody's back 10, 15 feet or more from the floor. Where in Hilton, aren't the fans down closer to the court?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's more on top, and Jack Trice is getting more closed up now than it was. I mean, it used to be wide open. They used to have grass on all 4 corners and knothole seats. I mean, we went to the Texas game a couple years ago, and kids sledding there during the game. But, it's more closed now. Suka Pavilion and all that stuff.
My first experience in that stadium was in high school. I went to the Iowa State-Oklahoma State game. I thought it was a high school stadium. I think it's set. You can get 37,000. I think at that time, maybe it was 40,000. So they've made that stadium a lot better now.
Yeah, with the departure of Oklahoma and Texas, I believe Iowa State will have like the biggest or second biggest stadium in the Big 12. It's going to be right up there because.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. I did not realize that.
57,000 last week. So
57, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was sold out, 57?
I don't think it was a sellout. I don't think it was. The UNI game always sells out because they all come down from Cedar Falls,
Right.
So
you don't know what the max.
Oh God, it used to be the old days. It was like 53 or something. But I mean, it's got to be. I mean, with the Suka Pavilion and the other stuff, it's probably got to be pushing 60 if it's not over it. I would think.
Oh. That's cool. So I did not know that.
They ran Jamie Pollard ran a picture of the stadium back in the day when it first opened, and it's like, I mean, you're right, it's like out in the frickin' prairie. You got 2 huge stands and a field in the middle, and I mean,
it was like a Texas high school stadium back in the day.
Oh yeah, or Clear Creek Amana, their gym.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I muted myself and I asked Google. It's 61,500.
Nice. I did not know that. That's impressive.
That's really close to Iowa. I think Iowa was like 67. So
we used to be 70,585, but
but you ever sit in a stadium with the 70 seats? I've been there. You're like this. You're just better off standing up if you can, and then the people behind you are yelling at you. I go, I can't sit down. There's no room to sit.
You're gonna have to buy 2 tickets.
By the way, what a testament to those 2 programs to have a state with the population that Iowa does. And if they're both playing home games in the same Saturday, you've got 130,000 people attending football games. And then if UNI happens to be hosting a game as well, Really, it's pretty incredible because there's a lot of states where they may not be putting that many fans into games there. So
Yeah.
Well, Nebraska has about 180,000. Just ask them; they'll tell you.
yeah.
UNI sells out their games, don't they?
Oh sure.
No, not too often. They do when they're winning, and they'll have
Okay.
overflow. They'll have overflow in the McLeod Center and have it on the big screen in McLeod. It holds 16,500 for football, I think. Something like that. But yeah.
All right, guys. I think we've exhausted the possibilities here.
Okay.
Let's get Pat back to work. I got to get to a doctor's appointment, and you other two do whatever you want to do today.
Pat, it was nice to meet you, man.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you, buddy. I got to find out my other pick, so I got work to do.
Hey, Pat, maybe during the basketball season when we play Iowa State, we can bring you back.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Tell Johnny Orr stories.
There you go.
There you go.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
I like it.
Cool. All right, guys.
All right.
All right, say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, see you.
Bye, Terry.
Oh yeah, bye, Terry.